And let me tell activists there and some politicians in the opposition, whatever you have said that young people are tired of being used, I am one of them. I was on the streets in 2024. I was on the streets in 2025. You are no longer going to find me on the streets without an agenda. In 2024, I was on the streets because of the finance bill. And it was an agenda that I looked at as a young person, and they said, this one is a reason for me to leave my house and go outside to protest. The same in 2025. We were celebrating the lives of the people we lost in 2024. And it was convenient for me to go out and protest because there's an agenda. Now, the government has set aside 2 billion to compensate my friends who lost lives in 2024. Of course, you can't compensate someone their life. I would still want to have them alive. But isn't it a good intention? Didn't we see a court in Kisumu actually compensate the victims of, I think, 2007 post-election violence? Isn't it a good intention from the judiciary?
They should not have been killed in the first place.
Exactly. But they have been killed. I mean, Uhuru killed people. Moi killed people. Kibaki killed people.
Are you saying it should be normalized then?
It has been normalized, and no politician or no presidency took the initiative of compensating victims. And I dare say that let us give it to my late party leader. Because when he sat down with President William Ruto, in their 10-point agenda, they had an item for the victims of police brutality. I come from a political party that our young people have lost their lives. There are people who have been arrested and they are still in the prisons and the police cells since 2013. I mean, it is not an easy thing for us. Don't just talk about protests as if it's just any other thing. And this is what activists love us to do. You know, they even mobilize people to go on the streets. And they feel very bitter when they don't see people on the streets because their budgets are cut. When people are not violently on the streets, Wanjiru will not be funded as an activist, which is very wrong. We need to go to the streets because we can see this is wrong and we want to rectify it. But they were going on the streets because of fuel. What can we really do about fuel that the government has not tried to do?
We've seen not just activists, but the private sector say that government needs to further reduce taxes and levies.
That's a better
over 40% of the cost of a litre of fuel goes to taxes and levies.
Exactly.
That is the private sector. So, nimekuuliza Wanjiru amekosea wapi?
Wanjiru anakosea kusema watu walikuwa wanafaa kwenda kwa streets, na pia anakosea kusema
but it is her right.
People had been arrested. You know, don't misinform.
No, but you see, you were not out there personally counting every number.
But NTV showed the 9 of them. I mean,
no, but did NTV count all the protesters?
But
that's a different question.
Did you see many others? I mean, there were no protests. And let me tell people.
Let me give her right of. You've said a lot. Let me give her a right of reply. Wanjiru, she has said a lot. She has said activists don't eat unless there are violent protests.
43 people were also arrested in Machakos. I just wanted to put that here. There were plenty of people in Kitengela out there protesting. The government has been pushing a narrative of commercial activists since June 2024 when people were protesting. Commercial activism is a conversation that has been also pushed by government propagandists like my friend Roslyn here.
Hey. I'm not a government propagandist.
You speak like one.
She called her an activist as well. What did you?
But you refer to her as a political activist.
I am a political activist. I push for good governance in this country. There's nothing wrong about being an activist. There's nothing wrong with activism. It is my political right to come out to the streets and say the government inanikandamiza. Kwa nini inapandisha fuel prices? Well, 40% inaenda kwa taxes. Like out of 100 shillings, 40% of that goes to taxes. So you cannot come here and say activists are being used to... Who pays me as an activist, Alinona?
I mean, you know your donors. You don't...
This is... You cannot even name... Show. This is propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
That I am actually a businesswoman. I sell CMOS. That is how I make my money. I am also a consultant. I don't just go to the streets.
So the way you love your
business,
don't encourage...
No, you don't just come here and spool propaganda and say young people
Okay,
should
let
not be
us close this business of the
Your
street
party
and
leader
business.
was key on protesting. Your party leader will call
And
massive
also
protests
key
in this
on negotiations.
country.
You don't protest 24/7 when you have an opportunity.
You cannot come here and demonize protest.
But Roselyne, what you say?
The civic space is shrinking, Olive.
I hear
Yeah?
you. Let me ask her this question.
Yes.
You said you are part of a party that has been protesting, right? That is the ODM, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. Now protests are bad, that you are part of the broad-based government. When you are not part of with the broad-based government, it was a constitutional right.
Not really. I mean, all of us saw that there were times my party leader, my late party leader, former, nasikia hata uchungu kumtaja, would go on the streets, and there are times he would tell us, my sons and daughters, it is enough, we now need to sit on the tables. He has done that severally. This is not, I don't see any reason to go to the streets in this regime as of now. We had the reasons in 2024, Olive. We had the reason in 2025. I don't see the reason, and that is why I applaud Kenya.
But do you defend Wajira's right to
She
protest?
has
Her
every
constitutional right.
She has
to protest.
every right.
Because you might not find a reason to protest, but she says she does. And she has elaborated.
What is the reason?
She has told you that the cost of fuel for her is prohibitive. But let's get the gentlemen's take, the women sort of take.
This is Legrand from Simple Generations.